Hi,
Hello.
this is Steven, and
Hey.
he just acquired the home behind of us for $17,000.
Yeah.
He's super good at finding good deals, and we are now looking for investors who want to be on the journey with us. So we're gonna have very good profit margin, and we have multiple properties, so you can invest and choose the one you like. And we can also borrow hard money loan. We have equities like as security, so we can definitely like make it safe for your investment.
So, so these are the type of projects that we take on, right? We acquire the properties at a good, reasonable, competitive price. In this case, this was a tax delinquent property that we acquired. We coordinated with court enforcement and the family to find a property that is compatible. It has enough margins to make good profit. Now, of course, we can find the same property, but if it's not in the best of shape, then we have to make sure that there's enough potential for profit in order to make it worth our time. And so what we can see here, this specific property, it's essentially a condemnable structure. It doesn't have it's not in the best of shape. It's not in the best of shape. It does require, watch your step. So right now, it might be a little bit too dark for that, but there you go. So as an example, in this case, this house had a roof leak up here that crossed all through here. And so the water came down the wall here, went down to this space here. And so all of this section was rotted out, right? And then as we make our way to the kitchen, you can see at some point there was also a leak here, and so which caused the plaster to come down on here. And so when we first came to the property, there was trash all the way up to this level. So all of this here was trash, it was plaster, it was newspaper, mail, everything. And so part of our job here is, okay, we come and see these properties, see these structures, and if it's something that we're interested in, we say, okay, we look at the numbers, we see the value, the land value, because really the value is not in the structure. And here, there is material and everything that we can tear out and kind of start over, but really we're looking at least minimum land value. And then from there, we say, okay, look, the house itself is in really bad shape. It's not worth anything. You can't live here, but the land has some value. And so we can give an offer to a seller for the value of the land. Of course, it would be a good value, good offer for us as the investor. And then we negotiate, and then eventually, if we can find a good enough deal, we then just acquire the property and renovate the property in order to make a profit. Now, we do all of these projections ahead of time. So before we even put an offer, before we invest our money, we make sure and look at the comparables for the area. We make sure and see how much the property can sell after repairs, and then how much time it's going to take us to do. So like the gentleman that we met earlier today, we talk to them, we say, okay, what's your timeline for the roof? What's your timeline for the drywall? What's your timeline for the flooring? And then we take all of that into account. We take into account the expenses. And then once we have, watch your step, once we have an idea of how much time and how much money it's going to take in order to acquire and to renovate the property, and then refinance it and keep it, to lease it out or sell it, then we move forward with the investment. We never invest our money without knowing the full picture. And so, but yeah, this is the type of property that we want to find. These are the deals where you make good profit, because a lot of people, they'll see this, the bank is going to see this, a conventional, an FHA loan, it's not going to qualify for that. And so when you see, things like this, again, this section here was rotted out, water came down through this valley here, and then rotted out this wall here, and this wall here. So now we built a temporary wall here, temporary wall there, multiple temporary walls to hold up the structure on these ceiling joists. And now we can remove the walls, change out the framing, and then put up some drywall, and it's like new. It literally is brand new, right? And so here's some other examples here through the rest of this house. So again, it's the plaster wall. So these type of things, it's very solid, but we would just rip it out. And then if there's any rotted wood or anything that has to be replaced, we just replace the drywall. It's one of the bathrooms, and then like this section here. So if you think about it, like a lot of the old structure has very good wood. So like the wood here is probably like 200 years old, whereas modern wood is probably 20 years old. And so it's very good bones. And so what we do is we'll come in and look at these properties. We take out the plaster, we take out the old drywall, anything that's damaged, and just replace it. And if you think about it, like this section here, it's a very small section. We can take out all the plaster here, all the plaster around, and replace it. And what? It's a 4 foot by 8 foot drywall is like $13. You know, so it's very affordable. And the only thing we have to worry about is the structure it hangs onto. So all the wood and everything. And so it looks like a lot of work to an everyday buyer, but as investors, this is where our team and our network we can leverage to make sure that we get good deals at a good price, and a good enough price that we can invest in repairs, so that when we sell the property or we lease it out, we're making profit. But yeah, this is the type of example that we look at, and it's a good size home. I think in this case, you have enough potential to renovate this property. You have 1, 2, and if you are working on renovations, potentially a third one here with a small hallway here, or we can open the doorway here and so into this section, this wall here, and then convert this section into like a little room or studio. And so now you have a 2 or 3 bedroom home. So we might kind of walk our way back over here. Other potential out here. So we have enough space here to expand out this way. We have enough, so this section back here, we can expand out this way for the garage and create an ADU. And so there's a, before we even make an investment, we check and see if there's any easements or any type of utility easements that we have to keep in mind. So we know 5 feet all along this back line, there's a drain line for sewage because it goes through the neighborhood. And so easily we can tap into that sewage line, convert that to an ADU, and now we can have a bathroom, a kitchen there, and it just drains out through the same line. So it's less of an expense. So those type of things that we take some time to research. And then later on, to kind of help with the appeal to the property, we're gonna add a fence line around. This is an avocado tree. You have a couple of fruit trees here. You have like an orange tree and then like a hybrid grapefruit. And so in terms of backyard, like this is a huge amount of space, relatively speaking to most of these others don't have any yard at all.
Yeah.
And so as an example here, this is about 460 square feet. So it would qualify under a junior ADU. So we look at, okay, that's an entrance there, probably have the kitchen back there, bathroom here, bedroom and living room. So it'd be like a small 1 bedroom, potentially 1 bedroom and like kind of little studio area. And so right now in this area, you could probably rent it out for anywhere between like $18,000 to $2,000 roughly in this neighborhood. That section over there, that building is probably closer to $3,000. So based on the comps for the area. And
now probably like this on the market costs like 700,000.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but not so beat up.
Not so beat up, of course.
Yeah.
So, but if you have enough margin, right? If you get it for a cheap enough price, even if you spend $100,000, $200,000 to fix it, if you get it for a low enough price, there's room for profit. It was about $17,000 to cover all the back taxes and the transfer taxes and everything, and then some of the delinquent liens on there. But yeah, just about.
And how much you paid the owner?
That was about the amount. That was part of the concession.
Oh, everything?
Yeah,
17,000.
Yeah. If I acquired a property at a very good price, $100,000, $50,000, $15,000, whatever the price is, as long as I have enough margin, I can use the property itself as collateral to acquire more capital to invest in. And so now the property itself is its own venture. There are other projects that do come along where I'm like, hey, I have a property, I'm looking for a hard money loan or an investor that I'm willing to pay a decent return. We're not asking them to take any risk. The money is guaranteed for them. They're guaranteed a certain return at the end of the project. Whereas sometimes, if let's say someone does want to be a partner in the purchase, they're assuming more risk. So let's say we buy this property, but we end up finding out that it has mold, or it has lead in the property, or it has asbestos, or it has concrete in the drains because the tenant got really upset, and now we have to redo all the drain, all the plumbing. The concrete goes all the way to the street. Like, let's say there's tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars that we didn't anticipate. Well, now the investor's money is tied into the project, They have to wait until all that work is remediated. They have to wait until all that work is completed. That could take months or a year, depending if it's really severe. And so as a partner in the investment, they're assuming more risk. Whereas an investor, a cash investor, a hard money investor, they're not assuming any risk. They're saying, hey, here's the money. At the end of the year, I want this amount. And so it's our job as syndicators and investors to make sure that the project is done on time, because at the end of the day, the cash money investor is going to get their payment. All of your money is going to be secured by the property formally. It's going to be recorded against the deed on the property. It's going to go through escrow. There's going to be people involved in the middle, escrow companies, title companies, to ensure that your investment is not going to fall to the potential liability of, let's say, the owner didn't have the right to sell. It's going to be insured like any other real estate transaction. Everything is done formally.
Yeah.
So the property in Ironwood was acquired for $800,000, I believe. Was it? This is my father here. He's also a mortgage broker. So it was a purchase for $800,000. Right now, there's a loan on there, a formal loan recorded against the property for $450 or so. Or this actually comes up
is around 508.
no, total payoff would be around 500. Well, right now we have multiple offers. We have a minimum offer right now, 1.325. I think it is 1.325. And so in terms of securing that investment, we have multiple offers even below that. $1 million, 1.2, 1.325. And so, those were offers based off of the previous condition of the property. The property now is in much better condition than it was. And after repair value, it's probably closer to like around 1.750. And so in terms of having enough equity in the property to secure your investment, even if we didn't do anything with the property, you would have enough equity in the property to secure your investment. But if we start using that investment to renovate the property, to get it occupied, to get it certified, once you have a business licensed, not only do you have the value of the property itself, but now you have the forced depreciated value of having an established licensed business in that. And so now when you sell those buildings, you're not only selling the building itself, you're selling the licenses associated with that building. We can then get a higher assessed value. If it's an assisted living facility, it can be $3 million, $3.5 million. Just actually in 2018, the property was assessed at $2.3 million as a daycare. And so that speaks to the value at 2018's prices. As you know, everything's gone up over the last 5-7 years. And so the value today with those same certifications and licenses would be likely more than that. They owned the property beforehand, and they bought another building. It was they had like, how many daycares did they have?
I know about 28 daycares.
Yeah, so they had almost 30 daycares. And so they had millions of dollars in revenue. And so they found themselves they needed to find a new location. They were expanding. They needed an administrative space, and they needed also the space to accommodate the business. And so they moved to a building just down the road, but it was a multi-story building. Big, huge company. And so they just had the property, and while the property was sitting vacant, someone came in, they vandalized the building, they stole copper, they stole the electrical, they stole everything. And so the building itself it wasn't usable. And so they were selling it basically as a fixer-upper. And so in this case, it was a corporate investor. It was Pacific Premier Bank, an institutionalized bank. So that that they went through the process, they vetted the price, they did the appraisal, and so it was a legitimate assessment of value. It's just because it was vandalized and people broke in and stole a lot of the things, they actually basically did a short sale. And so Pacific Premier Bank had to come in and approve the sale because it was selling below what it was worth. So just like any other short sale. So we got it at a good deal.
If you are interested in becoming our partner or be our lender, you can contact me at my number. 如果大家对 Fix Upper 感兴趣，或者是想要成为我们的 lender， 让我们带着您一起投资，可以添加我的微信号联系到我哦。